Any questions? All those in favour? Aye. Any opposed? No. Right, we've got 3 requests of public input. The first request was declined. Joanna Beresford, on behalf of Open Space for Future Aucklanders Incorporated. She wished to speak to their submission on the Open Space, Sport and Recreation Policy. The reason for decline is Understanding Order 7.7.4b. A speaker may not use the time allocated for public input to speak about a matter that has a separate public hearing or consultation process, which took place to get us to this. We also had a request from Terry Randall, who was declined for a similar reason, wished to speak to item 12. The reason for decline under Standing Order 7.7.4b is the speaker may not use the time allocated for public input to speak about a matter that has separate public hearings. So item 12 is about going out for a notified change that will be widely consulted.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Just in respect of declining Mr. Randall to speak, he has emailed some material. I think I certainly received some. And what's of particular concern is that there's new material that Mr. Randall has put forward, and my understanding is that he was not made aware of the impact on his land before receiving the agenda late Monday, which is of concern.
Thanks, Councillor Local. We will definitely be open and able to ask those questions at item 12. Just based on the public input, that issue will be addressed through the public consultation process.
Just further to that, what's of concern to me
this is not
is in an instance where there's somebody directly affected by information that they had not had prior to receiving the agenda, that they're not able to
okay,
speak.
Councillor Walker, this is a question for the officers on the item at item 12. Thank you.
Okay.
Public input that were accepted. Extinction Rebellion, Carol Cohen will address the committee regarding Auckland Council's membership of C40. And I think, please come up. Nice to see you again, and bring whoever you'd like to the table if you'd like. Otherwise, I see you've got a group of supporters there with you. Welcome again. You've got your 5 minutes, and we'll have time for questions within that as well. Good morning.
Thank you. Is this working?
It sure is.
Thank you. Look, before I start, I'd like to just mention a small issue but of deep concern. I had a phone call a couple of days ago from Sandra. Apparently the police had informed council that there were going to be hundreds of us, and they were misinformed. Now, either somebody is purporting to be the police, which is serious, or somebody is trying to sabotage either us or council, and I just wanted the meeting to know that this has happened here.
And when that came up in our pre-agenda, I commented pretty quickly that I've never had a negative experience with any of you, and I'm sure maybe it was just, turning up to council meeting. Maybe they are looking across social media pages, but we didn't see you as any risk to us. So thank you for clarifying that as well. But just so you know, we didn't feel there was any concerns at all. So
Right. Yes, we are deliberately using this forum to be able to talk to decision makers. And the month before last, we had a banner that said, "The climate is in your hands," because that's what we see. It isn't only in your hands, and we do protest elsewhere as well, and sometimes disruptive protests. But that's not what we do here with you, which is wonderful. So thank you for the opportunity of talking today. Just a reminder, we are ordinary citizens. We are not scientists, but we listen to what the scientists are saying, and we have deep, deep concern about what is happening in the environment. Now, let me remember how I do this. No, that one.
if you just point it down to this computer here. There you go.
Great. So what we're bringing to you today is a reminder on top of the climate emergency that you declared unanimously in 2019, and following that you became a member of this prestigious group, the C40, and this is coming up for review. And we understand that this committee will be advising the Mayor as to whether Auckland should stay a member of this committee. It's a global network, 96, 97 members. I checked it out this morning. It's creeping up. 22% of the global economy, so quite a significant body. And we have had membership since 2013. We want to again acknowledge what has happened in this city, what you have made good decisions about with our climate action plan. And that our mayor, previous mayor, this mayor, has been able to go to the C40, and that we have been classed as an innovator city, which is absolutely marvellous. We're looking at a pledge to reduce the greenhouse gases for the city, to track progress, and to prepare for the impacts of the climate disaster that is in front of us. We're in a voting year, and I think it's important for you to realise what the public are saying. Now, first of all, I think it's important to remember only 40% of the eligible voters voted in the last local body elections. And part of that is that people are not seeing the relevancy. So we sit that beside now 3 big significant lots of research that show that 80+% of the population are concerned about the climate. Either deeply concerned or concerned, you know how research goes. The last one, which comes from Yale, which is international, they did about 130 countries. They found an interesting new piece of information that of those, two bits actually, of those 80%, they thought, a large proportion of them thought that they were isolated in this thinking. They did not realise that a large proportion of the population thinks the same as them. So part of our job as Extinction Rebellion is to go out and find those people and to get them joining activist groups so that we can have greater effect and a louder voice for you, the decision makers. But one of the other bits of information which was really interesting in the Yale research was that people are prepared to pay more money if they are going to get action on the climate. So as you are coming into the elections, I would suggest that you can be a little bolder about the climate. As you look at the C40, there are some options. There's 3 that are small players. There's one, I think there's a typo there. It's meant to be UCLEI, the United Cities for Local Government, and then there's the C40. So we argue that it's between ICELI or the C40. And, oh, thank you. So the advantages of the C40, we have been an innovator city. And so that's a good thing for us to follow up on. But we have, this is an important and influential organisation. It has top rank expertise. It has an excellent organisational structure. Senior officials are really important. Look, it's all there. It's a superb network, international network, to be part of. So we remind, just a reminder there, I won't go over it because the bell's rung, but we are urging for the C40. Yeah, thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you so much, as always. Very clear ask of us and very important work you're all doing in a difficult time here in New Zealand and overseas for climate action, it feels at times. But there, as far as I know, there is no risk of us leaving or removing ourselves from C40. There isn't, I know you've mentioned cost in there, but I don't believe we do pay any membership. This is a voluntary, we gain a lot from being a partner, but we don't, as far as I know, we don't pay into anything. The cost is our time, I guess, talking to, and I have met various C40 reps over time, and they did support a lot of our work through Te Tarakia Tāwhiri and our climate initiatives, and we share a lot of information back and forth. I do know there is work being done to make sure we fit into the new ways of working, and that they're changing some of the requirements. But if there's any change, we'll definitely bring that back to committee and make sure you all know that we're either going to endorse or change, where we fit. But just to, I guess, calm your nerves at the moment, that there's no, I believe there's no risk of us pulling out. And they're really keen for us to be involved. They want more cities.
We actually understood that the mayor was not so keen, but maybe the council is.
That's definitely not what he's told me. So,
Right.
yeah.
That is very good news.
So he's all in support of the climate plan and everything. So yeah. There are questions. First Deputy Mayor.
No, Chair, you answered my question.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Darby.
Thank you, Carol, and I don't have a question for you, but thanks for that explanation. But I would really like to know what relationship are we actively engaged with C40, and who is doing that? Because I sense that we've lost political oversight of that. So Megan, maybe that's just a brief memo. Who's the political lead? What actions are we taking? What's the engagement? What are the invitations that have come in to participate, etc.? And it's, I'm not questioning what you've explained, Chair, and I appreciate you and Councillor Dalton would be on top of that. But I think it is important that we are all aware of that important relationship with C40.
Thank you, Councillor.
Through the chair, look, I have spoken to Kataraina Maki, our Chief Sustainability Officer, and we were talking about exactly that, Councillor Darby. So we will be putting probably a memo or some kind of information to you. I'll work with her on that. Thanks.
And the relationship is largely with the mayors, but over time, same with Mayor Goff, enabled me to do things, same as Mayor Brown. But I think we could be doing a lot better. Thanks, Councillor Darby. Councillor Watson.
Yes, thanks for your presentation. Thanks for coming along. I just wondered if you had any idea as to what's the difference between councils or cities like Auckland and some of these other cities that are in C40. I look at some of the Scottish cities, for instance, like Glasgow City Council that achieved its CO2 emissions target of 30% 5 years early. So some quite impressive achievements. We're in the same network. Do you have any notion what is the difference between some of these cities who are just flying ahead and others that aren't progressing?
We are both, I think, as a city, but also as a country, are lagging behind. And this is a shame when we are used to being right there at the leading edge. Look at our sports people, for example, but so many other factors that we always, target high and get there, and we're not on this. I was interested to see that in both Sydney and Melbourne have specific targets. We don't. They're looking at their ports. We could probably do something with our ports and get it up to speed, because I know that they are transitioning everything to EV. And I know that they went and hunted out and got designed an EV tug, for example. All their heavy machinery they're putting into EV. That's marvellous. But then we're having cruise ships coming in, which are one of the worst polluters in the world. for example, I think we could be doing a lot. There's so much around the transport network that we are lagging behind on. There's so much more that we could be doing that we're not. That, you know, in 5 minutes I couldn't cover everything. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Watson. Councillor Williamson.
Yeah, look, congratulations to you for the concern and the worry you show about this particular issue. But for me, the thing that almost stops me sleeping at night is a couple of numbers. China at present is putting out 12 billion tonnes of CO2 while we're doing 30 million. If you take China's growth, just China's growth in CO2 last year, it's 18.3 times New Zealand's total. In other words, every 20 days, China grows by more than New Zealand's total emissions. Every 20 days. So even if New Zealand was to disappear from the planet today and be gone and contribute nothing more to emissions, in 20 days from now, the world would be back to where it was. So it becomes quite difficult, in my view, to know how do we slay the dragon when it's that big and we're such a small contributor.
That's why I think it's important to be part of something like the C40, which is the 22%. The other thing with China that people like, this comes up a lot, there's a bit of a difference between the size of the countries and the population. We actually have a much higher per capita emission than China. China is actively addressing this. They are making their own EVs. They are actively transitioning their transport to EV. They have put in very fast transit trains across their enormous land so that people are not flying the same. They are doing a lot, and in time they will be dropping equivalently.
But their change graph is still vertically going, like up.
They're doing what they can and the best
They're
they
going
can.
to break.
And so
They're going to break 12 billion tonnes this year.
That doesn't mean we should give up.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying we are so minor that even if we did amazing things, even if we completely disappeared from the planet, it's 20 days and we're back to where we were as a world.
Do you remember when we struggled against the horrors of apartheid in South Africa? We were one little country, and this was a big thing, and that was a country way over there. But we were a little part of that change. And I think we've got something similar here. Yes, this is international. That's why we've got the IPCC. That's why we need to be putting pressure on not just our government, but all governments, and encouraging our government to put pressure on all governments on the international field to be not dragging their feet. Everybody's dragging their feet on this. And what's happening? We're getting more and more severe weather events. I had it advised to me not to put up the newest severe weather events over the last fortnight from the Yellow Dot studios that I showed you 2 months ago, because it's considered repetitive, and we might have been knocked back because it's repetitive. But if you look at what's happening, it's horrific. People are hurting. They're hurting now. And we know that people in parts of the city that don't have enough green cover, i.e. South Auckland, are going to feel the heat so much more than in the leafy suburbs. So it becomes a justice issue as well.
But they're still going to keep going on, isn't it?
Okay, I think,
We hope it's not,
Yeah.
but yes.
thanks. Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor, there's 3 more questions, but we'll leave it there with those 3 because we need to move on. But Councillor Walker.
Sure. So look, I'm well familiar with C40. I've attended meetings with C40 people, and certainly supportive of what you're putting up. I've got a question though, because there's the membership of C40, but also if we're going to address that, we should address renewing our membership of ICLEI, which is a Cities for Climate Change organisation. This was an organisation that all of the legacy councils, almost without exception, and then Auckland Council was a membership of for many years, until not too long ago, as compared to C40, which interacts at what I describe as a bureaucratic level. C40 exists for local government members. That's mayors, that's councillors, that's local board members. And I'd just ask whether you're familiar with their programs, which include carbon management, transport, biodiversity, procurement. They have a program for the Pacific Islands, for example. They're in Australasia. Cities like Melbourne, for example, are members. And as compared to C40, which has a rather low membership, the last I checked was around 65 or like. It's more than
over
that.
90.
It's over 90 now. Italy's got, or it had about 1,500, so much more representative of cities the size that we are. So I just wonder whether you'd be supportive of our membership of that, for which we get, or would get, enormous benefit for a paltry cost. And I'd invite your comment.
Yeah, we have understood that it's not a and, that it's an either or. And we've gone for the C40 if it's either or. If it's an and, I think that would be marvellous. Yeah?
Thank you. Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering if your organisation was aware that we're the 5th worst country in the world per capita in climate emissions.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, thank you. And whether, as the largest Pacific city in the world, we have a moral obligation to our Pacific neighbours to fix our trajectory.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, yes. And I would ask Councillor Williamson to take that on board, that we're the per capita 5th largest. Yeah. And that's transport. And primarily, it's really interesting in the international climate activist circles, we have to say it's not energy. We've got, we could so easily be 100% renewable energy. We are, and we've been hammering at Genesis forever to get rid of Huntley. But, slowly. And then it's agriculture. And we've, we've cheekily shut down Fonterra headquarters on several occasions, and we think it's about time to do it again. Just to get the point across, they are huge, their activities are a huge polluter for us. But transport is the one that we can do particularly in this city. And I would say that we're dragging our feet on that. Where's our citywide cycle network? Although I'm thrilled to see on Great North Road a sign that says, we're making the roads good for everybody. Yay, good on you guys, you're just about getting there.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Chair.
Good, a great point. The last question is Councillor Filipina.
Tēnā koe mōrena he mana, mōrena koutou. Mōrena, ngā mihi ki a koe mō tō mahi. I just wanted to say firstly good morning and thank you for your work. Is it important for Aotearoa to do as much as they can around climate change despite other countries not?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the more that we are doing, the more that the little countries are doing, the non-aligned countries are about 1/3 of the population, and several of them, and I'm sorry, I don't have it quickly to mind, some of them have met their IPCC targets already. We are, particularly with this government is so disheartening. It is, yeah, that's what keeps me awake at night, yes. And if we're at the leading edge, it has that ripple effect out. So we're doing it. And, I went to an Oxfam presentation last week of what's happening in the Pacific Islands. It's heartbreaking. They can't grow their own food because except on raised beds, because the ground is salinated. look at Tuvalu and you've got a little sandbank that used to be land for them. The main road gets flooded at king tides, and so on and so forth. This is urgent now. I think Councillor Williamson is right, that it's now, and we need to be doing it now. We need transformational stuff now, not just here, but we do it and it ripples out. Yeah.
Yeah, and just my last part, sorry, Chair. You've already answered the one about the Pacific. My last part is that, did you know that Auckland Council's contribution to having an impact on climate change, that in 2017 they received a Global Leadership Award, and that's Auckland Council for cities for zero waste. Did you know that there was 10 other cities? Were you aware of that? Because it's just our contribution going back to 2017.
That's absolutely not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to acknowledge
Yes,
it all
and
from
I
the
think what we're
environmental team,
doing
but yeah.
is marvellous. And I'm old enough to have lived through us lobbying to have recycling done at the gate, which we didn't. And so that's happened. I have friends who were part of resisting getting rid of the glass milk bottles. That goes back a while too. And now we've got the food waste being done at the gate. And I am so proud of my city that we have the compost that comes out of the council composting is much higher in protein, because so many of us are doing our own vegetable composting. That is marvellous. But let us not forget it's the emissions, and we're not dropping the emissions, and that's what we need to be doing. Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you so much. I did say I'd cut off questions there. We do need to move on, but there's two more. But if they're really short, as Councillor Newman said, Councillor Newman.
Thank you. Good morning. Can I just, sorry, I'm online today. Can I ask, you referred to cheekily shut down Fonterra. I'm assuming that it was a protest outside the head office. Is that correct? Can you describe what cheekily shutting them down means?
Absolutely. We go there before they open, and we set up ourselves by the front gate. We have a tape that says climate crisis area that looks, mimics what the police do when there's an emergency. And we have big banners, and we have half a dozen people. Yeah. And people go around to another entrance where it doesn't actually shut them down.
Okay, so but you all right, so can I just ask that you don't try and shut down an industrial plant or an operation like the one I have in Unit Place in my ward? I wouldn't want to see that commercial operation, that industrial operation, shut down by you. So you will limit your protest to the head office and not the plants themselves.
That's what we can do easily here in this city. I can't speak for other people around the country. And let us not forget that it wasn't Extinction Rebellion, but it was certainly in the Climate Activist Network that climbed into coal trucks in Stockton Mine over Easter. It was stopped anyway, but they extended the Easter stopping for a couple of days. So this shows the level of frustration and anguish that people have over the inaction over the climate. If we look at Fonterra in particular, you may remember Jeanette Fitzsimons, leader of the Green Party for a long time. She was negotiating directly, and she thought effectively, with Fonterra for them to stop their stop using coal in their furnaces. And she gave them an alternative, which now they are finally getting to do, when we've got this far into the crisis. If they'd have done it 20 years ago, it might have had some effect. Better late.
Just-
I think that the questions and comments were probably veering off from the presentation.
She raised it. She raised it. Thank you.
And exactly. That's why I let you ask. But I'm just saying the continuation. Chris, did you have a quick question?
Just a quick comment.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to move in second, but we don't do debate on public forum. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, Carol. Appreciate all of you being here and your passion for this. We will let you know as soon as we have the C40 update coming to committee and any other information we can provide you. I'm sure will be debates through the election period as well over who is doing what on climate. And I do note that your study is an international one, but when we were doing the climate targeted rate, the same levels, I think 70% of submitters, but also we did some polling on climate action generally, and Aucklanders said, 60-70% said they're happy to pay if they understood that it was going to help make change. And as we've seen through the flooding events recently, and I think looking at Queensland this morning, the outback is flooded. So, there are massive issues in our neck of the woods as well. So, all those in favour? Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, councillors, for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for coming again. Are there any extraordinary items? None that I know of. Oh, item 6. Sorry. Apologies.